Well, Janice, Christian, we are just moments away from the beginning of that press conference where investigators and authorities from multiple law enforcement agencies will be addressing the media, trying their best to explain what happened earlier. A few hours ago, I was on the scene where what can only be described as a horrific accident did occur, and there was such a great presence of authorities there. I saw about 4 or 5 fire trucks, law enforcement from various agencies. What we were able to get confirmed by police is there was 9 victims in this accident when a pickup truck slammed into them as they were driving down the road. I actually heard from one witness, though, that it looks like he was almost hit by this person also. We're trying to get confirmation of how many people were injured. Some of them may be children, and we're also hearing that there could be multiple deaths, as many as 5 deaths in this accident.
Working with the health department, trying to figure it all out. Fox 17's Michael Dupre live for us tonight from Rockford High School with more on the illness and what the district is saying about this tonight. Michael?
Christian, Janice, school administrators and health officials say right now it's all about getting these kids better and preventing others from getting sick. And a big part of that has to do with finding out what is causing all of this. The assistant superintendent at Rockford Schools confirming 30 players from the varsity football team have shown signs of illness, but they're not sure what it is or where it came from.
What we're trying to do is right now is prevent any more people getting sick.
Multiple tests are underway, including airborne tests and checking the school's water system.
We investigated that and basically are trying to find out if the source of their illness was at Rockford Schools or not.
One player who has been ill since Monday tells Fox 17 he has never felt this sick. Another player was taken to the emergency room as a result of the illness.
It is concerning, obviously. I mean, anytime you get a group of approximately 30 kids who have the same symptoms, it's concerning, A, for the safety of those kids and how they feel, and ultimately making sure that it doesn't spread to the other kids because, they see each other every day.
Rockford Schools is working with the Kent County Health Department trying to determine a source.
We have to stop short of calling this an outbreak at this point because we really don't know what's going on. This is very new and very fresh, and it's going to require us now to start digging in and finding out what is really fact.
We're providing bottled water, which is separate from the main supply that we have currently at the school, just to take the precaution, make sure that that isn't the source of where the illness is coming from.
They're also talking with the student athletes who have fallen ill, trying to determine what they've been exposed to in the past week.
Now we can start talking to them. We'll interview them. We'll go, what's your history? Where did you eat? Where did you swim? Did you all do something together? Tell us where you've been.
We're told the symptoms the players are experiencing include diarrhea and vomiting, and the health department is asking the 6 students for stool samples from doctors to help determine what kind of a situation they're dealing with.
But they all seem to have something in common, and now we're going to have to figure that out because there's also an incubation period for every one of these things that it could be.
We plan on following any sort of guidelines that the health department issues to us.
There are a lot of variables to consider and a lot of possible explanations.
And right now, honestly, it's not a needle in a haystack. We're trying to find the haystack.
Now, the junior varsity football team practices in the same facility and uses the same water source as the varsity players, but so far, no one from that team has reported any sort of sickness. And with the first football game coming up on Friday and school starting on Monday, officials are doing everything they can to get this under control in the next few days.
Boy, frightening afternoon during a house fire in Holton after first responders fell through the floor of that home while battling flames.
Yeah, scary stuff. Fox 17's Michael Dupre is live in the newsroom after speaking to the homeowners who tried to rescue those firefighters. Michael?
Well, the good news, fortunately, no one was seriously injured in this house fire when not one, but 2 firefighters fell through the floor. One of them falling up to his waist, the other going completely through, falling into the basement of the home. Some very scary moments, prompting a Mayday alert and an all-out response.
This is what's left of the home on Cyrus Road in Holton after the fire burned for 2 hours, destroying almost everything inside.
Yeah, I raised my kids here. Yeah, it's pretty devastating.
Wendy Olson says she came home around noon.
And when I opened the door, it was just black smoke. I stepped in and stepped back out, and then I hurried up and called 911.
She and her family has lived here for almost 20 years.
I didn't know what was happening. I knew something was on fire, but I didn't know what.
Firefighters from 6 departments in the area quickly responding to the scene. While fighting the flames inside, the floor gave way.
When the firefighter went through the floor, we had a mayday call went across our fire dispatch frequency plus our fire ground frequency, so everybody responding knew what was going on. One went completely through the floor. He was down in the basement. The other one, I believe he only went partially through.
Crews able to pull the firefighter who was stuck in the flooring to safety, and the homeowner was the first to notice the one who fell completely through.
These hands come out through the glass of the basement window, and the guy was waving because he fell through the floor.
Those firefighters, Jim Petrie with the Blue Lake Fire Department and Alan Stiles with Dalton Township Fire, are both okay with only minor injuries.
Yeah, they do a dangerous job. I mean, you know, you got to give your props to them for sure. Appreciate all that they do, but it's scary.
The intense heat blowing out the windows in this home. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but the family did lose a pet. Ozzy, the bearded dragon, died from smoke inhalation. He's been part of the Olson family for 6 years. As for the fire, the worst damage seems to be centered in the kitchen, where it burned through the roof. The family may have lost their home, but they say their community will be there to help.
In Holton, you know, we're not a very rich community, but the people here they're rich in their heart.
Great that they have a community behind them to help. The family will be staying right next door at a relative's house. The cause of the fire is still under investigation, and the homeowner, will be looking into salvaging some of their belongings, but right now that house is not livable. Live in the newsroom, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
Okay, glad everybody's okay there, Michael.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
It's Michael Dupre, who has been on the scene there for hours now. Michael, what are you learning?
Well, Annie, the latest is right now, Consumers Energy really has their hands full trying to repair the utility pole that was damaged as a result of the crash. I'm going to step out of the way so you can look. The pole on the right is the one that they just planted into the ground. The one on the left was damaged when the suspect's truck plowed into it, breaking it apart. And police tell us that suspect, after causing this crash, ran away from the scene, but was taken into custody shortly after that. I did speak to some people who've lived here for years, and they telling me that this is simply the worst accident that they've ever seen happen in their small, quiet town.
Outside and bam, loudest crash. It was a big old boom.
That loud sound was the crash of a truck plowing into a car here at the intersection of Heights Ravenna and Main Street around 5 o'clock Tuesday evening.
And this truck just blew by my house. I mean, I could feel the power of the truck it just exploded past my house.
The truck split a large chunk off the utility pole, almost knocking it completely down. People who witnessed the crash say they also saw the suspect running away.
Dude ended up jumping out the truck, took off running, almost had him.
You almost caught him?
Almost caught him. He ended up running to the back.
Others went to help the people injured.
Seeing the people crawling out of the car and went around and seeing the other passenger that got ejected.
Michigan State Police say one person was airlifted to the hospital. The other two were transported by ambulance. Troopers used canines to track the suspect down following the collision and say that they were taken into custody about an hour later.
Bad accident right here.
All right, the latest I've heard from Consumers Energy, they're telling me that they're hoping to have the lights turned back on in about a few hours, hopefully around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Michigan State Police are also handling the investigation into this crash. They're letting me know after they apprehended the suspect, he was taken into custody and is at the hospital. The other 3 people who were injured in that car, their condition is unknown at this time. Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News. Well, that charge stemmed from a domestic dispute between the couple back in February and was not related to this weekend's incident. Attorneys confirmed that charge against Mary Hartman was actually dropped today. She told me her relationship with the suspect, Matt Hartman, had been rocky in recent months, but that she never imagined that their volatile marriage would spiral out of control, leading to the violence that we saw over the weekend.
His mental health deteriorated, a lot of anger issues, a lot of jealousy issues. He snapped. He snapped.
Mary Hartman was married to her husband, Matt, for 6 years. She says that she recently filed for divorce and was moving on.
Me and Matt might have had our issues, but I didn't want this to happen.
On Sunday, she says the darkest hours of their marriage happened when they drove from their home in West Olive to Muskegon. She says that Matt had a gun and told her he was going to use it on her friend, Jordan Carey.
Jordan answered the door. And then he seen me sitting there, and he like tried to tuck and like run at him and like try to tackle him off of the steps. And that's when Matt shot him in the head.
Jordan Carey's life came to an end that afternoon, a man that friends say will be dearly missed.
Jordan was a real, bright individual. He was loyal to a fault.
He was a genuinely kind-hearted person. He always managed to keep a positive outlook despite all the disadvantages that were thrown his way.
Mary says that after Matt killed Jordan and injured another victim, 25-year-old Mariah Cantu, he drove back to West Olive as she frantically called family members and texted police for help.
I was supposed to die Sunday. There's no doubt in my mind.
Back at their home, police surrounded the house.
He brought me out of the house at gunpoint, and I'm looking at all of the cops and everybody over here.
As law enforcement ordered him to put the gun down.
And he leaned in and whispered in my ear that he loved me. And then 5 officers said that he went and put his finger like he was gonna pull it, and they had to do what they had to do to save me. I didn't want this to happen. And if I could take it all back and take every single bullet that he had on him to save this from happening, I would have.
An autopsy confirmed that Matt Hartman died from a single gunshot wound. The officer who fired that fatal shot is from Holland Public Safety and is on administrative leave, which is standard protocol. A motive for this case remains under investigation. As for Mary, she tells us that she's now focused on her son and family and plans to seek counseling as she moves forward. In the studio, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.
Dupre at the VFW in Marshall, where the class has just wrapped up for the evening. Michael?
Yeah, Derek and Annie, across the street, dozens of protesters expressing their First Amendment right by showing their disapproval of the class, while another group of volunteer militia openly carrying firearms were expressing their Second Amendment rights.
Protesters, they have their First Amendment rights. They have every right to gather. They have every right to voice their opinion. The guys inside the building have their Second Amendment rights.
And inside the VFW in Marshall Tuesday night, a sign-up session for a course to build AR-15s and to learn about their gun rights. It's something that protesters who gathered outside the building say isn't an appropriate time following threats at West Michigan schools and recent mass shootings like the one in Parkland, Florida.
I'm tired of this. I'm really tired of this. Kids have a right to feel safe at school. I was a teacher for a long time. They claim their guns more important than people's lives. It's just not right.
But several members of the Genesee County Volunteer Militia say that's not the case, adding AR-15s aren't the monsters that some are making it out to be.
What you see built, what most of us own, they're not assault rifles. Those takes extra tax stamps, or they're illegal in most places and you can't even have them. People are exercising their Second Amendment rights, and they're doing it in a different perspective as opposed to just buying a gun, never knowing how to use it or what it's about. These guys will show you how to build a gun, how to use the gun, safety classes involved and that kind of thing too.
This is the third year for the AR class. The instructor of the course says the class is so much better than having someone unfamiliar with guns walking into a store and getting an AR-15. This way they learn the proper ways of handling it and safety.
People are coming to this class are good, hardworking Americans. They're legally owning a gun. They're registering a federally firearms license piece of equipment that they're going to use for home protection, sport shooting, enjoyment, hunting, a multitude of different things.
The techniques of building, that interests me a lot. My daughter's actually going to build one too. She is into clay target shooting. She's actually going to go to the Nationals this summer. I'm going to get her down here, and that's actually going to be her gun to build. And she's 14 years old and goes to Marshall Middle School.
And while the two sides didn't find much to agree on Tuesday, most are hopeful they can find some common ground.
We're so divided, and we're never going to make changes unless we can see common ground. There has to be something in the middle, and I'm a hunter. I also think that I need to have an AR-15 to hunt or to protect my home is ludicrous.
The instructor of the course tells me in the 3 years that he's taught it, this is the first time that he's seen protesters outside of the VFW. Meanwhile, the first class for that course is coming up on April 24th. There will be one course each month for 4 months here at the VFW, and then the fifth and final course will be at a shooting range where class members will get to shoot the guns for the first time and learn hands-on safety. Live in Marshall, Michael Dupre, Fox 17 News.